All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started once again. Good afternoon, everybody. Going to share a screen really quickly and just say hello. Thank you for being here. This is, of course, Digital PNA. I am your hostess with the mostest today. I'm also a bobblehead. I'm your president for the year, so I'm going to move by that quickly, but that's my face. Just want to share really quickly that, of course, Mara is our newest member. Mara, we're very happy to have you on board. We did get a little bit of attrition after this past year. Lost a couple people who changed jobs, moved out of the country, did crazy stuff like that. So this is who we have, but we're in a state of regrowth. But either way, you get the benefits potentially from membership of also visiting any physical chapter throughout the Pacific Northwest twice a quarter. So yes, we are digital PNA 100% online, not tied to any particular zip code, but we also have the benefit of being able to visit physical chapters if that's within your ability. Why are the dollar signs there? I'm glad you asked, Mara. It's because I pay little incentives as a thank you. If people do join the organization in regard to digital PNA, I give you $100 as a way of saying thank you, because I like money. Anyone else like money? Hand raise, anybody? No one apparently. Okay, I'll keep the money then. We're going to ask for some volunteers. To our guest, you're not obligated, but as a lawyer, I'm sure you have the best personality on the planet, so you might want to play along with some of this stuff. We're asking for these roles to be filled. The photographer, during the meeting at some point, you can snap a couple of photos, maybe make a collage, anything along those lines, or even turn with your phone and take a selfie of the screen behind you if you want to. And that's just things that we use to post out on social media to show people that we're darn serious, but we have a little bit of fun as well. Anyone want to volunteer to be the photographer? Drama, please. I actually can't see Rosie, so Rosie, if you're interested, you can say something.
Can I be the photographer if
yes.
I'm the one, because I can take it during other times?
You can do that. Okay. Before and or after. Yeah, of course. Tracker, that's someone that listens for quotables. Let's say that Mara goes nuts and starts dropping some serious numbers and we're impressed by that, data points, etc.
I will do that one, Brian.
Marcel, you want to do that one? Okay. Yep. Doodler, it's technically between Rosie and, I'm sorry, is it Maya or Mia?
It's Mia, like Mama Mia.
Thank you. Okay. It took me 30 years to get Mara's name correctly, so I might screw it up again. I apologize. But would either of you like to be the doodler, which literally is you can sketch something. If you're hearing things that people talk about that intrigue you, you can draw a diagram, anything, and then share it toward the end of the meeting with either just by holding it up to the screen, or you can even email a photo at some point. Would anyone like to do that?
I was going to say stick figures work, and the whole reason we do the doodling is because it's going to build that skill muscle for potential storyboarding, right? So we talk a lot about video and digital marketing here, and so storyboarding is a skill that if you can't doodle, you can't storyboard. So we're trying to build that muscle. So again, stick figures are welcome. Rosie, I'm looking at you, girl. It's good tax relief, stress relief.
Let's put you on the spot, okay? Be my doodler.
My brain is dead, though, I warn you, so it might be like absolutely nothing.
That's okay. All right, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and go into commercials. We're going to do a tangent afterwards. So no one by the name of Marcel text me and say, where's the tangent? We're going to do commercials around the virtual room here. This is up to 90 seconds to tell us who you are, what your business is, maybe something that sets you apart from the competition, perhaps. I'm going to put the order in the chat window, but let's start with Mara because we promised to forget everything she says because she's the presenter today. So let's start with Mara, and then I'll put the rest in the chat window.
Okay. Mara Hilton. I'm the owner of Sound Care Agency. We do primarily corporate backup care. We've been in business for over 8 years. We work with businesses that want to offer backup care to their employees. We have a large care team here in Seattle. We have a team in the Bay Area and a team in Denver. We also work directly with families to provide temporary backup care for whenever they may need it. Schools are closed. We also work with families to find permanent care. If they need to hire a nanny, we can do all the recruiting and walk them through the entire process. Mara Hilton, the owner of Sound Care Agency.
Marcel's next.
I will go next. So, hey, everyone. My name is Marcel Allen. My nickname's Hallmark. because I'm basically a greeting card for your business. I do what I call cheering and steering in the digital marketing space. So a lot of people get overwhelmed with video or marketing or Instagram Reels or whatever the new trend is. People often drag their feet and roll their eyes. And I come alongside business owners and encourage them, support them with the techie stuff, encourage them to be creative, cast their vision, get new clients, and navigate social media successfully. So if you have been dragging your feet with social media, or you have a client who you watch their videos and you just want to go to sleep, those are great referrals for me, because I can help anyone, even the really, really smart ones who have so much brilliance in them, they just don't know how to say it. I can help them be dynamic and charming online. Marcella Dreamosity.
Hi, Rosie with TAP Services, and what TAP stands for is Taxes, Accounting, and Payroll. That's why I was saying my brain is completely dead today, because April 15th was the deadline, and yeah, I have clients that have filed extensions, and so I still have, that at least gives me 6 months to kind of dig through their financials and everything else. But basically what I'd like to tell people is please don't wait to the last minute. You make your bookkeeper and CPA enrolled agent much, much happier in the end, and they may not have to go on the bender for the night, to recover. But no, but I really do enjoy, what I do, and I like helping clients get their financials in order. I have a restaurant guy who just is, poor guy, files his extension, but my goal is to get him on what's called like a forecast. So he knows what money is coming in, what's going out, and so he's not every day going, how much money do I have left? What can I pay? Can I afford payroll this week? I don't know. So that's me, Rosie with TAP Services.
My name is Mia Nazaro. I'm with a law firm called Nazaro. I'm the founding managing attorney. We have a location here in Issaquah where several of our staff sit, and then we work with clients throughout the country. We have a consortium of law firms that we work with, and then I am also, through our firm, we work with clients directly in New York, DC, Texas, and Washington, and California. We work with our business clients to ensure that the legal services are driving revenue. So we are offering services such as trademark protection, so filing trademarks. We are negotiating client service agreements. For a lot of our clients, they are knowledge-based, their services. And so we are looking for ways to increase their revenue, often by looking at options related to intellectual property, and then also payment terms and indemnification. We focus on making sure that those contracts work for our clients in their business instead of our clients having to work for those contracts. So many of our clients are women-owned businesses, and it's really important that the contract that they have works for their business and that they are not being beholden to terms that they can't possibly meet. And so we really, really focus on that. And we also work on bringing on multiple members into LLCs as may be necessary, and then making sure that all of the contracts that they have with third parties are sound and that they're working towards an exit strategy, whether that's a lifestyle company or otherwise. One of the businesses that we worked on with recently, we were able to secure a $750,000 service contract from their client. Through our provisions, we made sure that they are getting paid. So the client, our client's customer, decided that after they were done receiving the services, they wanted to terminate the contract so that they wouldn't have to pay. Well, surprise, surprise, they had agreed to a non-termination provision, and they also had acceleration provisions in the contract. So they are now paying. And so by working with us, our client was able to fully realize their potential client opportunity for $750,000 without having to deal with the issues of collection. So feel free to refer clients our way. We're happy to help them to increase their revenue.
That is an
And I will
powerful
say
commercial.
Yeah, I will say an absolute, not plug, but amazing feedback regarding Mia when we met. I mean, I stumbled on her by chance, and she has been phenomenal in helping our business restructure our contracts so that when we're working with corporations to provide backup care, that it's easy to understand, everything is thought through, and always thinking with revenue in mind.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to follow that commercial. I almost just want to just say, let's move on to the speaker of the day, but I have to follow suit. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Trendler, just like my little screen here says. I actually co-own Laugh Tech with Marcel here. That is a company that literally stands for Learn About Funny Techniques. We teach people how to become better speakers using humor. Believe it or not, if they laugh or cry, they buy. That's applicable in any scenario. If they're laughing with you, it's not because they're laughing at you. It's with you, with the scenarios that you create, with the visions that you cast. And along with that comes competence and confidence in how you deliver your messages. And it can be a lot of work, but we make it fun too. Also, I do own PNA Northwest, so thank you all for being here. Again, I'm very intimidated by your commercial, so I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to go ahead and bring us into the actual tangent real quick. So once again, I am sharing, and if you hear weird sounds in the background, just like Mara had smoothies going before, my dog is eating something over there that she probably shouldn't be. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Our tangent that we're just going to go ahead and use the same person or the order of which for people to talk about is how long did it take for your last transaction from start to finish? Every business is different. We're curious as to really what type of process and or flow do you have? Is it quick? Is it just simply they walk in, is it transactional? Or, do you actually have a sales timeline built into your pipeline? We're always curious about that. Occasionally we find that people might have some gaps that we can talk about as well. So I'm going to stop the share because it's not really necessary to keep that up on the screen. I like all of our bobbleheads. And let's go back and have Mara address that first.
Well, we've recently done a handful of placements for permanent care, and I would say start to finish, our transaction can take anywhere. Well, the last one was 3.5 weeks.
Okay. From
beginning to end to where payment is completed. Is that what you're asking as far as taking it all the way through?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Marcel, how about you?
This is interesting for me. So I have products that range from $50 to $10,000. So the $50 ones tend to be very quick and easy. It's a one phone call thing for my new publication, my directory. But when I do social media for someone for a year, that tends to be like they'll have watched me for 2 or 3 years often, because social media, a lot of people are really resistant. Some people are pretty easy to jump in, but some people, like, if I'm going to really join their team, they're checking me out for up to a year or two, even 3, I've heard. So it really depends. I'd like to shorten that to 3.5 weeks sounds really nice, Merit. But I always joke about it's not the first impression, it's the 100th in my game.
Rosie?
All right, well, knowing on my career, my business is really transactional in everything I do. It actually made me think of the fact that I need to have kind of like a guideline, right? Of when things are due. So thanks for the tip, Brian. it popped an idea into my head. But essentially, if I'm doing like a month's worth of data, so that's from beginning to end, it'll take me about anywhere from 4 to 6 hours if I was to do it all in one day on my average client, and that's with a month's worth of data. And again, it varies because it depends how many transactions I get within a month from a client. So,
okay, excellent. Mike, how you doing, man?
I am so sorry I'm late. I apologize to everybody.
It's okay, Mike. It's time for your commercial then, but then go into the tangent that I just popped onto the screen. So I'm giving you double duty.
Oh my gosh.
And then our guest, Mia, right? Mia, or okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So then Mia will go, and then I'll go. So commercial, Mike, and then the tangent, which I have covering my face.
Okay, yeah. Well, my name is Mike Enberg. I am with the Puget Sound Business Journal, which is part of the American City Business Journals, a network of 44 business journals. Puget Sound Business Journal focuses naturally on Puget Sound and business. It's a publication. It is a digital news source. It is also a company that does a lot of events to help people get recognized in the business community and network in the business community. We are particularly proud of our newsletters. We send an email newsletter to about 44,000 business decision makers twice a day. It is a terrific way to keep abreast of what's happening and a fantastic way to reach an audience of companies that can say yes to your business. I am relatively new here. I am just now getting into actual transactions. There's been a lot of training, but the most recent transaction was for a company that is being recognized for its corporate citizenship. The Business Journal creates lists of companies that are notable in some way, shape, or form, and one of those lists are corporate philanthropists. This particular company has given back to the community in very significant ways, and therefore has made this list. It's a company called Pacific Program Management. They do project management for lots of different styles and types of companies. They give back. Puget Sound Business Journal recognize that. So the transaction history is that we deliver the good news to them, deliver the fact that they are going to be recognized at an upcoming event, and I'll open up the opportunity for that company to have greater visibility at that event by sponsoring a table or building some advertising around their presence at the event. And sometimes those companies enjoy that sponsorship and we deliver that to them. And that becomes part of an advertising plan based on all the good things that that company does. So it's a great way that advertising can help shine a spotlight on good corporate citizenship, not just sell product. And I'm very pleased about that. That's where I live, is getting companies good value for what they are already doing.
All right. Well, see, you came prepared, man. Thank you for all that. Mia, let's hear from you.
So our transaction cycle, we require payment up front. So that's usually not that much of a problem, thankfully. So I would say our close, typically it takes us about a week if we're going to close a client, in the short term. And once in a while it will go further, but it's usually due to budget constraints. After we sign an engagement letter, I will say we are definitely trying to work on our turnaround time, because we're such a small shop, it can become difficult. So we were getting out for relatively simple transactions to be about 3.5 to 4 weeks, which I just don't think is acceptable. And so we are now actively moving it so that we're able to close our transactions within a week for simple document drafting or filing operations. So we are actively working on that and having in standard operating times, and that is helping, but it's also a matter of training.
Okay. Okay, awesome. I guess I'm last here, I think, right? Is that right? I think so. So with LaughTech, Marcel and I take either prepayments right off the bat in order to get signed up for a workshop or for a session, or it's due upon the delivery of the workshop. Most of you know I do a lot of MC and auctioneer work. That is a 50-50 scenario most often. 50%, I almost said $50, 50% to get me on the books, for lack of better words. But then afterwards, after the event has finished, once it's over, they hand me a gleaming, shiny Willy Wonka check. So that's always a good thing. And then with PNA, kind of like with Mia, you got to pay to play. You know, you have to be in the organization, you have to be committed. And really, that's what it boils down to. It's the commitment. If someone's willing to part with, you know, whatever that dollar amount is to be part of any one of these physical chapters or digital PNA. It's very interesting because some people I have found have these long cycles, and with Laugh Tech, it tends to be, Marcel can chime in on this if she wants to kind of correct me, but if people are considering doing actual individual engagement sessions with us, meaning one person and both she and I helping them reach their speaking and confidence building goals, it can be a couple months before they jump. And then they quite often don't want to stop, or they're angry with us once the 4, 5, 6 sessions end. We'll work with someone till the end of time, hypothetically, but at the same time, we kind of want to create an endpoint because then they're ready, right? We don't feel, you know, we feel that we serve their needs best by kind of creating an end date, and then they could come back after the fact at some point and touch bases and have that be an accountability type of session. So yeah, normally a couple weeks, if not a few months, in order for people to really jump off that ledge. But thankfully, the water is fine. So, and they make a big splash, but the water is fine. Okay, so thank you for all of that. It's interesting. Sometimes we learn these very interesting tidbits about each other's companies when we do these sorts of tangents. So thank you for kind of playing along there. I'm sharing screen again. We're about to bring in. Mary, will you need to share screen? I'm assuming you will, correct? Okay, so I'll just temporarily put this up on the screen very, very briefly. We get to hear from Mara Hilton. I'm going to let her say all the good things about herself in just a minute, but I'm going to put her on the spot here with a couple quick random questions. We like throwing a little curveball toward our speaker before they get to start, but I am going to assign you as host. I will reclaim afterwards so you can share in just a minute. But Mara, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to have your peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever type of sandwich you like cut on the diagonal or cut in half like a Nazi? I'm sorry, I was inserting my opinion there. Diagonal or in half? What is more important? People want to know.
You know, it's interesting. I actually just had this conversation with my daughter. I grew up with I know it's weird. I grew up with my mom cutting it straight down the middle, but since I know, but as an adult with my kids, I actually cut it on the diagonal because it fits better in their, like, which is weird. It shouldn't fit any differently if you cut it, if it sits flat, but if you're trying to layer the sandwich on top to fit into a smaller box, I feel like the diagonal cut is more important. And I don't know, it seems to taste better now.
So there is an entire science behind it. There's a psychology behind it. They say,
really,
take this as weirdly as you want to, being able to put that shape in your mouth, a diagonal cut allows you to enjoy more of the initial bite because it reaches the back of your palate, versus if you eat it on a cut, you're basically a brazen wild animal and you need to stop. So yeah, there is a science behind it. I'm glad you feel the diagonal is better. That's the answer I'm accepting, the only answer. And now it is time to let you jump into your presentation. I will time you. You have up to 20 minutes. At 10 minutes, my background will turn yellow. So try to have my bobblehead available when you your share screen. Oh, Mike, don't throw the crustless question out there. That's like, is pizza really called pie? Yes, it's called pie. Anyway, at a minute to end, I'll go red in my background and we'll be good to go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you. Hopefully everyone is able to now see what I have up here.
Yes,
regarding, okay. So again, as I mentioned, I'm Mary Hilton. I'm the owner of Sound Care Agency. We've been in business for a little over 8 years, and it started as actually a need that I used myself. And in fact, I'll stop my share here just for a minute so that I can talk about this. When my kids were little, primarily my son, he had ear infections a lot, and I had to always plan to miss work when he was needing to stay home. And as a benefit that was provided through Microsoft, I was able to use backup care. And when I found out about it, I thought, this is amazing. It's such a safety net for me. It means I can actually go to work. Someone that is vetted and employed by an agency will come to my house, and it's paid for by the employer. It was a game changer for me, something that I didn't know was even available. And as my kids aged or became older and I still saw the need, I ended up creating Sound Care Agency to provide backup care. So let me go ahead and open up where I just had it a minute ago. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this is what we do. We are the lifesavers, I feel like, for employees, but we also keep employers happy because their employees are coming to work. And again, it really depends on the company, but let me go through here. Some of these, or just the other day, actually, it was in March, I got HR Magazine delivered to my house. And on the top right-hand corner, it talked about the childcare shortage, which is what I thought they were going to talk about as far as daycares and whatnot. But actually, the article was about how employers are now starting to help their employees with these struggles, primarily with the last-minute emergency care, which is right where we fit in. So I wanted to include just a couple of pages here. I tried to highlight in bold what really stood out to me. One being that 80% of HR executives are now saying that childcare benefits have a positive influence on productivity, and 78% say that they boost recruitment and retention. And we all know right now in this job market, companies are doing everything that they can to keep those employees happy and staying put. Again, like for me, I didn't want to leave a place that offered backup care because it just took the stress off of me as a parent, and especially as a woman, knowing that I had someone to help me out when things fell through. Another section of this article that was, just from last month, talked primarily about backup care being one of the solutions that employers are looking at. UPS just started offering it to their part-time and full-time employees. It's primarily been a benefit that's been offered to, large tech firms and whatnot, but it's starting to trickle down to almost every type of business. Guardian, which is a life insurance company, offers 20 days a year of emergency backup care to all of their employees. It's becoming the norm more than just something that people are, nice to have. On this next slide, I highlighted in yellow two of the quotes that stood out to me is this is becoming a nice to have or a must have versus a nice to have, which I just said. But also down below it states the daily childcare wasn't the main stumbling block for employees. The bigger issue was handling emergencies, just like what I spoke of when my son had his ear infections. It was always last minute. We had a day or two of notice, and then I had to either stay home or figure out some way for him to get care. So Sound Care Agency, what we do is we offer backup care to small to medium businesses. We also vendor for the large programs that have been around for 20 years. We've got a super large team here in Seattle, but we are focusing on, for 2024 and beyond, is working with those small to medium-sized businesses that haven't been able to offer this benefit because they're seeing productivity can be helped. Attracting and retaining talent is a huge piece of why companies are offering it. It helps with employee loyalty and morale. I mean, as an end user of the program for many, many years, I would not let anyone in my household leave that organization because I received the benefit myself. It was one of the top decision factors that we used when deciding whether or not we were going to stay or move on to look for another opportunity elsewhere. Also down below, I mean, the growing demand for care, for in-home care, and also adult care, which could either be for a spouse or aging parents. It's growing tremendously. And it's the percentage here in the Puget Sound area is actually much higher than 60% of households that have two working parents. The cost of living here is crazy. And, you know, most families here have two working parents that are working out of the home or even in home that need help with their care when it breaks down. So again, what we do is we help take care of the people that take care of your business. I love this picture because it just kind of shows what a worker might be feeling from time to time with everything that's on their plate. A lot of it you don't see, whether they're, you know, dealing with aging parents and trying to figure out all of their appointments and making sure that they're eating and taking their medication, or just surviving day by day as parents of young kids and even older kids, to finding a program where you can have peace of mind. All right. So I know I've met with a couple of you on how it actually works, but this drills down into the process if a small to medium-sized business was actually going to offer this to their employees. Here's how it works out. Here are the details. The employer gets to decide how much to offer. They could give 5 days a year. They could do 10 days a year. They can decide. Usually there's a copay of $5 an hour. But again, the employer gets to decide that also. So they get to figure out how much they want to offer and how much the employee will actually be paying. The second piece is the employees, once it's offered to their business, they register with us privately and directly. We handle everything. The employer doesn't have to do anything. Once they decide, hey, here's what we're going to cover from our end, we take over. We have a portal. Employees are able to register and create care requests when it's needed. If they know in advance that schools are closed, they can put in a request. If it's in the middle of the night, they can put in a request. There's a lot of different ways that they can let us know that they need care. We have staffers 7 days a week from 5 a.m. to midnight that are at the computer ready to take in those requests and notify our staffing team or our nanny team. Third in the process, of course, after the request is put in, it's ideally staffed right away, but it's staffed by one of our employees. Again, all of the caregivers and nannies that we employ are vetted, and they are our W-2 employees. None of them are contractors. They all work for us directly. We handle the insurance, we handle the training, we handle the payroll, we handle it all. And then the final step is we charge the copay directly to the employee, and then we bill the company once a month for usage. There's no minimums, there's no payment penalties. It's very, very simple, and it's streamlined specifically for small to medium-sized businesses that want to offer this program in a simple, efficient way. And we also have the best caregivers around. Why choose us? I always like to, I feel I'm very proud that we've been around for as long as we have. Starting in 2016, it was an idea of me coming home and going, you know what, there needs to be more of these out here because it's such an amazing benefit. We've served, tens of thousands of families in our time. Again, as a vendor of some of the large backup care programs, we know what we're doing. We're efficient. We have the best caregivers. And given that we're open 7 days a week and we have a staffing team ready, able to take the requests from families, we offer a great way for parents to feel supported and families to feel supported. One thing that sets our corporate backup care program separate from some of the other big ones, we only charge for hours that are used. So if an employer, for instance, wants to offer 10 days a year to their employees, but the employees, maybe one employee uses 3 days, another employee uses 5 days, they're not billed for those 10 days. That's just the maximum offering that they can choose to cover. We only bill for what is actually used. This also works if an employee puts in a care request and we're unable to staff it. They're not billed for that because it was not staffed. Our vetting process here on the bottom, I always like to talk about this. As a parent myself, this is the most important piece, I think, for letting someone come into my home and handle my children for the day and take care of them, especially if I have to leave. We interview all of them twice, very in depth. We handle all of the reference checks for our team, making sure that each one has at least 2 references of working professionally with children. CPR and first aid certifications have to be renewed every 2 years. We do annual background checks at our cost. And then we're the direct employer, and they're our W-2 employees. Like I mentioned earlier, we handle the insurance. We carry 7 insurance policies. We train all of the employees. We handle all of the payroll liabilities. We take it off of the parents' plates and the employer's plate. And it's also, this is a business expense for employers. This is the one way that they can offer a child care benefit to their employees and have it be a business expense. They can't do that directly with the employees. They can do that through us. Pricing, it's very, very simple. We have an annual fee depending on the size of the company, and that covers us to come out, train your employees, manage all the billing aspects and the tracking of the usage. And then the bill rate is $45 an hour. Again, this is for hours that we're able to book and staff. And we do have a 4-hour minimum because it's hard to, staff a case that's only requiring 1 hour of care. But that $45 is what is split between the employer and the employee. I mentioned earlier that the average copay we see is about $5 an hour. So the cost to the business is $40 an hour, and the cost to the employee is $5 an hour. Again, we manage all of the billing and tracking aspect on the back end, and there's no penalties. You don't have a minimum. You don't have, some large backup care companies will charge a minimum, and then if you go beyond your usage, you're actually charged an additional fee. We keep it very, very simple, designed for small to medium-sized businesses. They can use this for night nanny care if they decide to do that for all of those families having newborn babies. So the step of just to kind of go back to the process for us is the employer gets to figure out how much they want to offer. They get to decide what the copay is going to be. They can start small. They can up it the second year. The employer then reviews and signs our participation agreement, which outlines what they want to offer to their employees. And they pay the annual fee. Again, it depends on the size of the business. And then they give us their list of employees that are eligible. That's it. We take over from there. We configure and release the portal to their employees. We'll come on site, or we'll do Zoom training for all of their employees, answer whatever questions they might have. They might have questions about, maybe they're nervous to have a nanny come into their home. We're happy to answer all of that. We're happy to talk about what the job duties are for the nannies. Are they able to help with house cleaning? Can they drive? We can answer all of those questions for the employees. And then we provide the care to their employees and kind of save the day. To be honest, it really is one of those amazing benefits that employees are really reluctant to give up once they've had it. And what we're finding is employers are loving it because it helps keep their employees at work. And especially for those verticals where the hourly bill rate is really high, it makes a lot of sense financially for companies to be able to offer this. and keep everybody at work and happy, and better work-life balance. It really, yeah, I think is quite awesome. But again, I started out, using this and then moving over into offering this as a service. So yeah, that's what I've got. Any questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mary, you're at the 15-minute mark. You can open it up for questions now if you want. So let's
I
go.
got questions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I'm just curious because my kids are older now, but it made me think. Do you work with like state agencies? So if there was like a situation where the kids that you have, like that I had was, they were fostered for a long time. And so a lot of the state rules are pretty tight in saying that, what kind of care they can have and background checks and, sometimes they have to be approved first and all this other stuff. So have you run into anything like that?
Well, actually, it's interesting that you bring that up. So my business partner, Tiffany Martinson, her 2 children, they fostered to adopt.
Okay,
And
that's what we
so
did,
now, yeah. And so she has 2 children. They are now 6 and 4. So right in the
Okay.
thick of it. She is the owner or the other co-owner of the agency and uses backup care for her children. As far as it being a program that's offered through the state, we are not part of that program yet.
Okay.
And none of the backup care programs are officially, through the state. But if your employer offers it, it does meet the qualifications because the nannies are, employed by an agency that runs the background checks every 12 months, is following up on the references. And so, yeah, we do have very close personal experience working with families that have fostered to adopt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, no, it made me think of like, I would say that if any of the employers that I had offered that when they were young, I would have taken it, like, and they probably would have kept me, but because there's too many situations with the kids that we had who are special needs where someone wasn't qualified. You try to find the care on your own and they weren't qualified because my kid's ADHD, has meltdowns, has this, has that. It's just, so something like that would have been awesome when they were younger. They're 23 and 19 now, so.
Yeah, it definitely is. When I found out about it, it was like the heavens opened up, and I couldn't believe that it was an offering by the employer. And what we're finding is the younger generations that are now coming up and their focus on work-life balance and self-care. And I mean, their huge push is for benefits. That's what's making the difference between them choosing to go work for a company or to stay at that company. And, like in the presentation, backup care is becoming the norm. It's becoming something that it's a must have rather than a nice to have. It's just up there with medical and dental as far as providing that work-life balance, especially with both parents working out of the home. It is a very powerful tool for employers, but it also, benefits the businesses because their employees are staying at work. So it's a nice to have, to like, oh, we care about you. And, we want to show our employees that we value them as individuals. It's also helping the business.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mara, I've got a question for you. So,
yes,
what are your employers buying right before they buy this? Like for example, with Dreamosity, I want people to have a logo and a website before they come to me. Like if they don't have a logo, they're not ready for me, right? But what do they just buy right before they're going to think about corporate backup care? Because it's not even on my radar. But for your larger companies, like what are they doing right before they come to you?
Usually what we've seen is they've started to add in wellness benefit programs, whether it's like fitness or, self-care. And especially for a lot of the employers that have had a younger workforce, now that that workforce is getting older and they're starting to get into kind of that prime time of their life for earning potential, they're starting to have families. They're worried about losing a lot of the women in the workforce that are choosing then to stay home. And then, you know, but in our area, that's not really a possibility for a lot of families because of the cost of living here. So they have to stay in the workforce. And Tiffany and I say a lot of the time, we are women that support working families and working women. Our goal is to provide that safety net and opportunity to stay at work and keep, you know, keep on with your journey, whatever that is, whether it's climbing the ladder or learning new skills or anything, that just supporting those working women and working families. I mean, we support them all, of course.
Mayor, we had a previous DigitalPNA member that for the 2 years roughly that he was part of it, shared on a regular basis that it could take up to 5 times the amount of money you would pay a full-time employee to replace that person if they left. So just the fact that this is a thing, like you said, you took advantage of it only when you realized it was a thing when you were, you know, benefiting from Microsoft offering that to you. That's a remarkable, you know, offer, and the fact that you've taken it to this level now is just is crazy, because businesses don't always realize if you don't keep people happy, there's a reason they're leaving. So
yeah,
Right.
I think your timing could not be better.
yeah,
I think that the businesses I speak to, the most common thing, the most common thread now is how do I keep and retain talent?
sounds like an article for the Puget Sound Business Journal.
It absolutely does. I want to
Wow.
pursue that.
Just saying.
Can I ask another question? Sorry.
Yes.
Of course.
It's popping in my head. So, because you talked about elder cares work, can you like give a very quick like scenario at how that would work? I ask because I have my mom. I don't live with her right now, but my mom's getting you know older, and I'm just like, well, there's gonna be a day where I'm gonna have to find care for her, right? And I know that she's not gonna want to leave her house. You know, she's that type of person. So how does that work?
It is something that I think we're all getting close to experiencing. At least I know I am as well. So we can provide companion care for adults. It could be for, and really that falls into anyone over the age of 18. So it could be a spouse or parents. We are not providing medical care. There are specific organizations that provide in-home medical care. But as far as companion care goes, a couple of examples fall to mind. A caregiver can show up for 4 to 6 hours. They can run a couple of loads of laundry, clean the kitchen, make sure that there's food, make sure that they're eating, make sure that they're taking their medication, give those reminders. And they can also accompany them via Uber, because our caregivers aren't driving any of the care recipients in their own vehicles, because it's just safer if they're using a third. Yep, a ton of risk. So, but they can accompany them in Ubers to appointments. I know that when I go down to visit my parents, usually one of the days involves me driving to various appointments. And as someone who is now concerned about, I mean, I always was concerned about them on a daily basis, but hearing more and more about their health struggles and issues, we started providing adult companion care to kind of bridge that gap. And it's actually that part of the world is, or that area of care is it's growing faster than it is for actually the childcare gap. So anything that's non-medical, definitely companion care is what we do.
I would love to have a one-on-one with you, actually. By Zoom, or because I have a lot more questions in regards to my mom. She's almost been scammed. Brian knows that. The long story behind it. And
I
it's
didn't
just
do
like,
it, but I know about it.
Oh, yeah, you know, yeah. Brian didn't do it. But just, I was just thinking if there was just someone to check on her once a week, even if it's just to have lunch or
Yep.
do whatever, and just be like, okay, so what did you do this week? And then kind of feedback, I'm the inside person trying to monitor everything.
Right. And that's exactly what it's designed for. And it's by rolling it in, we can do that, of course, privately anytime. But rolling it into a benefit that employers are now offering to help their employees is we're trying to cover all of the bases. So that just launched in the fall.
And I want to introduce you to some of my clients that own businesses that are small, like in Everett and stuff like that. So definitely need to do a one-on-one. I think it'd be a great benefit.
Love it.
You only knew of a business organization that's geared around networking and sharing referrals. I don't know. Rosie, you might be onto something.
I know.
Rob shaking his head. By the way, real quick, Rob, Keith, welcome. Good to see you both. You'll have a chance to say stuff in just a few. Any other questions for Mara before we jump into the speech breakout, which is honestly one of my favorite parts, aside from Mara's presentation. Any other questions? Okay. Gonna really quickly hit. Oh wait, I need to regain, as they say. It's called reclaim. Oh, it's not gonna let me.
I think I just made you the host again.
You already did. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're gonna go into the speech breakout portion here. For some of our guests, you've never seen this. Honestly, it's what makes us super cool, otherwise known as all that and a bag of chips. We dive in deeper into her presentation now. We talk a little bit more about maybe the things that she didn't cover, or it's a nice way of her putting her feet up on the furniture, and she can pay attention to realize very quickly if we paid attention or not. Let's talk about target market. I'm just going to go ahead and keep killing the screen here because I'd rather see all your bobbleheads. But what people and or businesses would need Mara's services. So we're talking about the direct target market.
Well, like as you said, Mara, companies that have services for which they charge a fairly high hourly fee, so that they can keep those employees working and delivering on that hourly fee.
Yep. Very good. Anyone else?
I was going to say a lot, like my clients, I have like a restaurant owner and what's called Wild Birds of Everett, that have employees with kids. And then it's just like, I don't think they even know about that something like this can exist.
Yeah.
So I may have future referrals for you. So it's definitely try to get on the calendar.
There you go. Also, something that I always think about is folks that are realizing that, well, a bit like Rosie's situation, where they have someone in their world and there starts to be some signs, starts to be some problems, needs that maybe they can't identify, they can't help with directly, and they need help, right? So this sort of optional care system is remarkable. And then of course, any company trying to make their hiring process sexy, because this is an incredible benefit to offer. I can tell Rob's excited. He's actually vibrating. So Heath, you had something? Oh, you're on mute, buddy.
Hold on. No, I'm not.
Oh, well then speak up. Is it just me? Because I can't hear him, folks.
I can't hear him.
I'm not teasing you, Heath.
Oh, wait.
Maybe there's a problem between the chair and the keyboard.
We hear you now.
Okay. All right. Long story. But Mara knows what a big fan of her company that I am. But I just wanted to add on to what was being said. Think about people in like the healthcare space where you have to be at work, or guess what? People are not getting the care that they need. Or it could be, somebody again, who provides big time hourly billing to, other clients. And, if that consultant or that project manager, program manager has to miss a day, they may not be able to bill, $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 for that day. That's a real impact on these organizations. And then, lastly, I just wanted to mention something that I've been doing some research on, and there's something called the sandwich generation. And, that's a generation of people that are kind of facing the dual responsibility of, caring for aging parents or relatives while also supporting, children either, in the home financially or emotionally. And that balancing act on a lot of people is just it's in Rosie, looks like she understands what I'm talking about. It's a lot for people to handle. And a part of EAPs or employee assistance programs, those are designed, to help people that are going through stressful periods in their life. So, while you're not part of a formal, EAP program, you're a perfect tack on, to any existing EAP that's out there.
Wonderful. Heath, thank you.
I think, Brian,
Yes, thank you.
the other intangible here is people may miss the day if they have to take their kid to XYZ. But if they've got an issue at home and their brain is not with them at work, that's far more likely to happen. And if people know that they've got this, they can call, they can make it happen in a backup. It's really going to give them a peace of mind. Especially if you're in the trades, if your mind is not on the job, there's an opportunity for you to get injured, somebody else to get injured.
Absolutely.
Not to mention, disappointing customers.
Yeah, no, that's a phenomenal point. I never would have even thought about the workplace injuries. I just think about how much I would have bloody well saved, even from daycare back in the day. Or just having to drop them off if it was available, if I needed to, just for those 4 or 5 hours types of scenarios. That's just incredible. Okay, anything else under target market? Because we could also kind of roll that into key conversations, like what triggers a referral? What can we be listening for? What should we be out there listening for, looking for online, social media posts, asks through social media groups, etc. How can we tag her? How can we help syndicate her message?
Well, I hear and listen for things like, how do I keep the best employees? How do I get the best employees?
Definitely.
I mean, your line, and I don't know if you can copyright this or grab this or not, but your line, we help take care of the people who take care of your business, is incredible. That's a great line.
Agreed. Anyone else?
Yeah. So it's like things my clients tell me, because I'm a very, as Brian knows, a social person. So I like to get involved in my clients' lives. And when I meet with them, like one of them said, "Oh, I just had to or someone just, or I had to let them go, or, this or that because of this reason." And so it made me think. I'm just like, one of my clients said, "I need to keep Amber is like the best employee I have. And she's been really great, and so she asked me like how much raise she could get and all this stuff, but I thought about it and I'm just like, if you really want to keep people, it's what's provided as a benefit in the end."
Sure.
And she's a young mother, right? Who I've seen where we have a meeting, she said, "Oh, a kid's calling or someone's calling about a kid. I got to go take care of this or that." That could be alleviated, instantly. So it's just listening for cues. I always like to listen for cues like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rosie.
Mhm.
Okay, in interest of time, we're going to move ahead to the next section. Marcel, I'm going to call you on this one because you described this part better, mainly, folks, because she runs a social media training company and she rocks. But let's have you describe the beneficial syndication section. You're much more eloquent than I am.
Syndication is just a fancy word for share. So if somebody were to share her content, her Instagram content, and she just popped off.
Yeah, we just lost Mara.
I was going to give her like a bunch of brands that are relevant. So I'm going to wait till she pops back in here. But think of those places or spaces where there are groups of dual parents or single moms or, women going back to the workforce or the sandwich generation people where mom or dad has dementia now. And what do we do? And they still have this big, law firm to run or, like they're still doing important work. So beneficial syndications being places you can share Mara's blog posts or social media content too.
Okay. So she just popped back on. Anyone have feedback for her? Beneficial syndications.
Yeah, so Mara, I've got a list of women-owned business groups and networks in the county, in the area, dozens of them, women's networking groups, this and that. But a lot of the women are trying to build their business too, and I think they would, kind of like Rosie, have better work or employees who are having a better work ethic if they could offer this to their the employees. And so but one I'm thinking of is Business Ladies of Society. I'll do an email introduction to you and Jessica, but she runs that group and she's phenomenal. And all her clients are just busy moms trying to make it work. So she's going to know a lot of people. And then the other one is the Economic Alliance. I feel like they've got some more of your corporate, bigger brands. I think you're probably already at Boeing, but they've got dozens of big companies with lots of employees. And so I need to email a guy. I can't find her card. But I'm giving her free comedy tickets. So I don't know if you're able to come out Friday, but I'm hoping to get one of the eDesk girls there on Friday. So there could be a dual connection there. Anyways, lots of great opportunities for you.
And
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I put one more on the table?
Please do, Heath.
Yeah, so I don't remember if we talked about this, Mara, but the SHRM or SHRM, they have local chapters. That'd be a great place to go syndicate your message. And a lot of the participants in those meetings tend to be female, so they're going to be more sympathetic and empathetic to your message, and a lot of them represent the exact types of organizations that you want to get into. They just haven't met you yet, and they haven't heard your message.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I would also suggest the Seattle Good Business Network. A network of small, medium-sized local businesses that likewise I think would benefit immensely from hearing about your message.
Very true.
Can I throw something in there too?
Of course, Rosie.
So an idea, do you ever like speak at your clients' work locations to talk about the benefit? I'm only asking because I heard Boeing being mentioned. My brother-in-law works at Boeing, and we have my mother-in-law has become okay, I'll just say it. They have an issue. I'll just say that. She's fallen, she's hurt herself, she has medical appointments, and he's constantly stressed out about her. And I'm like, wait, he works at Boeing. Why doesn't he know about this?
Yeah, well, we are always happy to be and I'm always happy to be the evangelist. I mean, half the people that I talk to about this, they don't even know that they already get the benefit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I had the benefit until finally someone whispered it, call backup care. And I was like, what? We do work for Boeing for their program. And I'll be at a birthday party or a barbecue, and I'll start talking about what we do, and pretty soon everyone's kind of standing next to me, wanting to hear more and more. And then I'm like, well, yeah, you already get it. And even I mean to piggyback on Heath, what you mentioned, I went to SHRM, and I was talking with an HR director, and we're talking, and she knew that they already had the benefit, and she's like, yeah, it just, a lot of people don't know. They put it on the intranet, and people don't actually go in to read about the benefit. But happy to connect and share. I mean, my whole goal for 2024 is just to get the word out that it exists. They might already get it, and if they don't, how can they talk to their employer or to let the companies know this is something that you can do.
So Mary,
Heath.
One of the ways you can overcome that, and this is going to seem sort of old-fashioned, but for really, really, really inexpensive, you can print little benefit cards, just like your medical, dental, vision card, and take those to your client and ask them to hand them out. That way, because it's from their work, they'll put it in their wallet. It's just one more thing that they're going to carry around with them. It may not be visible all the time, but it will remind them that they have this available.
It's a great idea.
Great idea.
Okay, so Heath and Mara provided the best segue there as far as this last section, which is other categories. As you can see, I've got my cheat sheet here up on my screen. What are the businesses can DigitalPNA members invite to help grow, in this particular instance, her referral network and or collaboration opportunities, but also by way of another presence we can all potentially benefit? What are the businesses can we bring in? Lawyers.
A recruiter, someone who's in 20 corporate pockets.
Wait, what?
Like a recruiter, like they've got connections with a
Yes,
lot of big
yes.
corporations.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We've had a recruiter in physical chapter in the past. They were great referral sources also.
Yeah, and law firm would be good too.
Hmm.
See a lawyer sitting right there.
Gosh, if only we knew one. Jeez.
And is wedding
PR.
planner too early? Like a wedding planner, would that be too early in the process? Like,
For
'cause I
care?
know-
No,
For
no. Or
because we know what happens during honeymoons.
Right?
mhm.
Bunch.
Would you say, Mike?
I say, well, since this is such a good story to tell, PR
Hmm.
to get both get the message out and know ways to get the message out.
True. Yeah. So I'm going to, again, not share screen. I just did a quick screenshot. I know it's not perfect, but this also leads into the next natural slide, which is other ideal business categories can we bring in? Really quickly though, Mara, are there other businesses that we haven't mentioned that you think would coexist well in this digital environment that you want us to go find, that have been of value to you in the past? Because you can kind of work with anybody, right? Within certain
Right.
parameters. But is there anybody that's been a really impressive referral source that we're just not thinking of?
Well, Mia's been an amazing referral source for
But she's already
our
doing this,
company.
so-
I know. She's amazing. I think, anybody in the medical community,
Okay.
that is dealing either with, on the parent side, or on the older caregiving side,
Yeah,
or dealing
senior
with
side,
clients
yes.
like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and with that being said, I think you've met her, but Karen Anderson from Silver Age was planning on being here today. She just wasn't able to make it. She'll make it probably to a future digital PNA. So Silver Age is just that. It's senior placement and care, and they do all forms of levels. So that could end up being a good relationship for you to form. So.
Oh, amazing. I had a meeting with Abby and Karen yesterday and did a bunch of research for him last night. And yeah, you two would marry up very, very, very well. As far as like another category too, maybe somebody like a CPA, who works, well, Rosie's a bookkeeper, but like a CPA who has like, corporate clients, could be a good one to add, that would definitely help Mara. I had a couple other on the tip of my tongue, and I'm sorry, I just lost it.
Drop them in the chat window if you think of it. I also want to point out, Digital PNA is the only chapter, for lack of better words, in this entire organization that is actually open category. So Rosie could conceivably have a CPA in this group, and she could play well with that person in the proverbial sandbox. They could pass referrals back and forth, overflow, all of those types of things. So it's okay if we, find someone that does exactly what Mike does or what Mara does, whatever. So good.
Mara, do you work with any of the benefit brokers so that they can resell, so that you're not having to go and do the client pitch every time, but they could resell your services and you can have a contract with them directly?
Yeah, we are starting to work or to get in front of more benefits brokers. And that kind of, I connected with Heath, and I know Heath is in that world, not specifically for benefits brokers, but getting out there so that the message can be one to many versus one to one. So definitely.
Awesome. Okay, so next section is actually referrals or testimonials. Well, actually, let me just once again readdress my little background slide here. Look at some of these types. Lots of folks inherently think that they may not be good fits for networking groups. We say nay here in Digital PNA because it's always possible, especially because this also has a focus in what you're already doing online. You're already selling coaching, shipping, training, etc. online, meeting with clients, from the legal aspects, all of these things. These are businesses that don't often think they can fit within a business networking model or a referral-based company. So look at some of these titles. Again, event planner, podcast producer, digital artists, 3D modeler, voiceover artists, etc. These are folks that we are looking for actively. And if you know people, please send them our way. Okay. All right. So now I'm floundering with my tools here to get this thing off my screen. Let's go ahead and go into referrals or testimonials. I'm not going to share the image for that. It's not as important as all your beautiful faces. If you do have a referral or testimonial, speak toward it. And that is the list on the screen. Our guests, of course, you're not obligated, but maybe say something about someone here you might know or experience about PNA. So Mara, you're in the spotlight again. Referrals and testimonials. Do you have anything you care to share?
You know, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit nutty. I know I say that every time, but no, this time for real. So I don't really have any referrals to share so far. And I mentioned last time, or maybe it was last week, that Marcel came. We were able to meet, and she helped point us in the right direction. And so using Marcel, you know, her services through Dramosity were amazing, just to help us understand more of the Instagram component that we can actually do. So that was huge. And we haven't posted anything yet, but we now know how to work around the tools. And I'm excited to actually use it for today's meeting for the presentation to slice and dice some of those pieces out. So that's been super helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that counts as closed business for us. And Mara, I was going to say, so Dr. Susan Barr, I can't say her last name. She runs a group on Facebook called Mosaic Wisdom, and they're all women in this like healthy eating kind of menopausal area. But that would be a great Facebook group for you to kind of network and connect to. And then I'll connect you to her, because she's just a wonderful resource. Like she's helped me with my mom and stuff and various things that because you know, sometimes the doctors don't actually do their job very well. And you need to talk to someone to make sense of all that. That's what she does. So she's just like a medical advocate. That might be a good person for you too, Rosie. And then Mara, I'm going to connect you to Jessica at BLOS, Business Ladies of Society, because I think her whole network will just gobble you up and just be so grateful. And I'm excited to get you actually more on Instagram, because they are the type of people that when they see your good content, they will share it, and you'll just get hundreds of views because they need to know that you exist.
Yep. I second that about the BLOS group. They are remarkable.
Thank you so much.
So good stuff. Okay, Rosie, let's hear from you.
I would say, you know, kudos to Mara. That was a really good presentation. Because I had no idea what that ever existed. So, and it actually gets me excited, because I really think a lot of my business clients could use that, you know, to retain some good employees that we have. So, so thank you for that. And no referrals yet, but like I said, Mara, let's meet up, because I think I might have some good leads for you, for clients to get on board with that. And I want to say thank you actually to Keith. I know I've said it before when I was at the physical location, which everybody I know misses me. But you know, forensic payroll, he couldn't help me with the payroll issue that my client has, so he referred me to a third party that he heard of, which is now in the process, hopefully, of helping me, you know, get the payroll stuff together. As long as the IRS issues that they were having is now fixed, you know, that's fun. But yeah. So
thank you, Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mia, sorry.
That's good.
Mia, are you able to hear us? You're up if you have anything you want to share, a testimonial maybe about Mara, anything like that, or
Oh, me.
yeah.
Sorry, Mara, I'll start sounding the same on the video. I would just say that I can appreciate the services that she provides, because as a woman-owned business, you know, I was faced with the issue of, you know, how do I get to a conference to go speak? And I have to pay for that childcare out of pocket while I'm gone for my kids' care. And so this is a way, it's not just for that backup care, but to ensure that employees can get to where they need to go to promote your business, to do sales. And I think that it is a huge factor in women not having as robust of careers because we don't have the ability to take advantage of those opportunities. And I see sound care really being able to provide that as a potential option. And I am involved with other businesses. There's, even if I pay my employees less at another business, but I don't have the staff bandwidth to cover them for an absence, backup care can become a critical factor. Even if I'm paying more for that backup care than I am for the employee's time, I can't have the employee out. So I think there's many factors that are involved in being sure to have that backup care, and then having a placement agency as well, which Mara can do for the more routine care outside of that emergency backup, I think is really important. But I think there's a lot of dimensions to the benefit of that. And when I look at how much I spend on my business expenses for other items, then it becomes an easier ask. And I think that that's important as people are talking to their own clients and their network. We all spend money on our businesses, whether it's for that app or for our travel expenses. We are spending money. It's just a question of how are we going to prioritize that to advance our businesses. And so backup childcare is something that I am absolutely considering as we move forward in our own growth, so that I can continue to hire other women as professional employees and not have to worry about absences as much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very, very eloquent. I love that. Okay, Mike, hit us up and then we'll hear from Heath and Rob.
Yeah, been pretty busy here getting up to speed, but after our conversation a couple weeks ago, Mara, I am constructing a list of quickly growing companies of various sizes, because I think that's where there might be some real opportunity, companies whose past systems don't meet or match their current needs. So I'm working on that.
Great, thank you. So Heath, welcome once again. We're not short on time, but we're getting close. So can you give me a 45-second commercial, since you weren't able to do that? And then if you have any brief referrals or testimonials.
Brian, I can't be brief, but I'll do you a favor
That's why
today.
I said it.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Heath Pierce. I work for a company called Insperity. We're a Fortune 500, 38-year-old publicly traded company. And in short, what we do is we sort of consolidate back office vendors, especially around human resources or people. And we help companies, not only when they consolidate those vendors, save time, save money, but we also help them be strategic about their human resources, and we provide a lot of consulting services around that. So, and then finally, I also offer, sponsored benefit packages, and I offer a unique type of protection for businesses. If you want to talk to me more about that, I won't waste any more of Brian's 45 seconds here. We can do that offline. But I do want to also just compliment Mara one more time. We had a one-on-one the other day. We had a nice lunch, and she really knows her stuff. And having been in the world of working with employers and their benefit plans, not only in this career, but in another lifetime, you've got something made of gold there. We just need to find out, how to uncover all the opportunity for you.
Excellent. Heath, thank you. Rob, you're up.
Taking a big risk, give me the microphone. You know that.
That's what
Yeah, getting it back's the hard part usually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, hey, my name's Rob. I'm the owner of Outdoor Lighting Perspectives. So we're the Puget Sound's premier outdoor lighting company. Our primary focus is meeting with our clients to understand what their lighting needs are, and then providing a variety of solutions, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's functional, whether it's, providing additional perimeter lighting around your home that's both for security and also helps everything look good. That's the stuff that we do. We're going to be a little different than some of the other providers. The guys on the lower end of the spectrum, will bring a box of lights, trip over the curb, plant them there, charge for it, and walk away, right? We spend that time really trying to get to know what it is we're trying to accomplish. We look at ourselves as lighting solution providers for our clients, because we know your investment is something that you're going to stare at every night. It's going to be the first thing to greet you when you come home. We want to make sure it's exactly what you want. So we spend a lot of time doing that, making sure we get it right, and then we follow up with just killer installation and incredible back-end service. So that's really what we do in a nutshell. I know Brian through the Mill Creek Chamber, so I've had a chance to talk to him a little bit about the service he's providing. You know, the PNA Northwest is awesome. He's grown leaps and bounds. So it was an opportunity for me to pop in, take a look at the digital part, see what's going on. That's a little bit different than the in-person, but I think it's, you know, it's also got its benefits as far as broad reach and engagement across different platforms that normally you wouldn't get a chance to talk to people. Mara, your stuff is awesome. I think you're on the cutting edge of a big bow wave of need, especially in the service industries, especially people who are trying to decide, you know, they don't necessarily want to go to college. They want to get back in and do the trades, and then making sure that, you know, we know how hard it is to keep and retain employees. As I mentioned, keeping your guys on site with their head in the game is very, very important. And I think the product you provide would be very beneficial for that.
That's great, Rob. It's almost as if you read that off of a script. That was beautiful.
I'd have had some
Bow wave
practice.
of need,
Yeah.
everybody. The bow
Yeah.
wave of need. I love that.
Yeah. Bow wave. Yeah.
Okay, so who else is me? I'm left. Okay. Well, once again, it's all about Mara. I worked with her 30 years ago. Holy crap, at Microsoft, and she still talks
Wow.
to me. But it took 30 years for us to reconnect, and I'm thrilled that she's part of the PNA Northwest family. And yes, it was a great presentation. I think a future presentation, I'll challenge you with this. Give us some numbers, right? Because you're talking about like a variable sign-up fee and how much people are paying. I want to hear how much a company XYZ, change the names to protect the innocent, right? But you know, just tell us how much they're paying, and you know, how many people in the beginning were sick and they just took off work and cost the company money, but now through this bow wave of growth, you know, are they now saving because they're utilizing your program? That could be a really effective tool to make us go, oh, hot darn, we want to go share that with our networks, right? So that's a suggestion for a future presentation. Just so you all know, Rosie is an absolute bulldog. I say that with love and adoration, because she's a really, really talented and really hungry, which is good and okay to say, hungry accountant. And her husband works as a CPA as well. So they kind of handle all of that. And they're just a brilliant team. So I want to thank Rosie for just being her. And she's also helped me start an Olympia PNA physical location chapter. So she's a bulldog, but also a hound dog, because she's going after members now to or businesses in that local area to have them join an actual physical chapter. I think that's it for today regarding that. I'm going to share a screen here again really quickly, just 2 more times. Is it working? Anybody? Here we go. They really should make it only like 2 buttons to hit instead of 10. As you just experienced today, our speakers get 20 minutes, which it definitely separates us from the locations that are physical, where you have 8 minutes. So we can dive in a little bit deeper by way of what the presenter talks about, the method and how they present. We've had people do a physical walkthrough at a venue as they're like walking around with their phone, you know, sharing that Zoom call. You can do anything that you want to, but we appreciate that. So Mike, technically speaking, you're up next. Does that work with you, sir? Okay. May 15th, I'm going to reserve on the off chance we have a new member. No, I'm not speaking to anyone particular on this call, but I might happen to be looking at the lawyer bobblehead right now on my sub screen. But either way, if we do have a new member by that point, I'd like to have that as an opportunity for them to consider giving a presentation. Otherwise, I will work in the next person in that rotation. Next screen talks about any events to consider. There's a few things going on. For those of you who are in our neck of the woods, for lack of better words, Marcel and I do put on a comedy show once a month. This one happens to be this Friday. That wasn't planned. It just looks that way. It's going to be a really fun event. So if you are like me and have no plans, come out and laugh with us. It's also a great opportunity to network. There's a lot of business owners there that want to connect with people. It's kind of a small image, but that graphic actually shows that we actually have Laugh Tech sponsors that help keep comedy local, help cover the cost of the comics and all that fun stuff. So we can send this out in the notes that Marcel studiously puts together for us. And that's an opportunity to come have fun Friday night. We also have a humor workshop that is starting at the beginning of May 3rd, just 2 hours a week on Fridays. It is literally a 7-week course that people are mad once it's finished. It's funny. They literally get angry at us because it's so much fun. It's an opportunity to develop your mix of humor to make you not only a better adult, a better person in general, but a better communicator, more confident, more competent, ideally getting excited about using video as well. This is not the same mix workshop series that we've been offering for the last 10 years. This is retooled. It has a little bit more of a video-centric mix as well. We're not going to stick you on video each time, but point is there's a lot more information to hopefully have everyone benefit from. And it's a really fun course. For those of you who are great at math or even bad at math, we're $295 for an hour session if you want to sit down with Marcel and I and have us absolutely change your life around. This is $650 for 14 hours of our big, beautiful brains. So if that sounds interesting, if it sounds fun, you can hang out at the Mill Creek Chamber office. That's where it's going to be because they have a training room right behind the actual office itself. And then even though the graphic is really sad, I have a link here, which again, Marcel will put in the notes. We're growing. We've got 2 physical locations opening this month. Rosie is heading up an Olympia chapter. We've got an Everett chapter. We also have a Shoreline chapter, a Marysville chapter pending as well. So it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of growth with the physical locations. And of course, we want to see this digital PNA get bigger as well. Does anybody else have anything? Because we are right up on the 1:30 time frame. No one's saying anything, so that's okay. Rob put some information in there. Thank you, Rob. Marcel has something else. We do post these online, so thank you, Mara, for being on good behavior. And of course, once again, thank you for your presentation, for bringing guests. I'm very excited about your law firm. I'm going to reach out to you and say hello. And everyone else, great to see you. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, great job, Brian. Good job, Mara. Feel free to bring a video next time if you guys want to promote a video or a podcast or a blog post or a publication, anything you got. Bring something digital to share. It's part of your referral. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chewy says goodbye too.